I'm Travoris Hawkins, director, cinematographer, and photographer, and this is my story. Well, I grew up in Augusta, Georgia, the home of the Masters, James Brown, and I actually grew up on James Brown Boulevard in downtown Augusta. Everywhere you look, it was a train track. In my area, it was train tracks surrounded us, and I remember growing up, and some folks never left from in between those train tracks. And when I go back and I see that, I see these same people doing the exact same thing. I want to be a motivation to them, just to show that there are avenues in which we can take. It helped mold me. It showed me what I wanted out of life and honestly what I didn't want out of life. I attribute my work ethic to my mother. When I tell you, growing up, I didn't know, struggle. I can't sit here and say I knew struggle. Even though I grew up in the projects, my mother had carpet laid down. We always had a nice apartment. She made sure it was clean, so all of those things, helped elevate me, because my surroundings on the outside wasn't necessarily what I got on the inside. Mother, at a young age, she kind of saw something different in me, and at one point she decided that I needed to change up my scenery. So she made me go to a school that was out of my zone, which was actually in my father's zone. So I went there, and this was Langford Middle School. I was able to go to kids' homes who their parents, worked different types of jobs and had artwork on the wall, and, just seeing things, and it helped open my eyes to see that something wasn't right. The big thing was me going up Walton Way every day to that school. We would drive up early in the morning and go up Walton Way, and I would see all those big houses, and I would just say, one day I want one of these houses. And it would always be kind of gloomy when she would pick me up from school and we're making our way back down Walton Way, because I'm seeing those houses, but I'm also seeing the change in the scenery. So how did I get into film and photography? So going back to high school at Richmond Academy, I had a good friend, Hawkins. He filmed everything. He actually has his own day in Augusta, Hawkins Ushery Day. And he's a well-known filmmaker. So he would film a lot of music videos and short films, while we were in high school. And I took a liking to it. It was like, dang, that's very dope. That's something that I would want to pursue, but never really picked up a camera at that time. It was really an afterthought. It was kind of like, yeah, it's something that I want to do, but it's on the back burner. So once we got into college at Augusta State, me and John, which is my business partner now, we wanted to make it in the music industry. And I know I can't rap, sing, or dance, but I knew I wanted to be a part of this in some way, form, or fashion. So one day I'm watching MTV Jams, and it's like, bro, we could shoot some music videos. At this point, I did not know how to use a camera. So we invested in a $250, it was called a Flip HD. So we invested into a Flip HD, and we just started shooting stuff. And I knew it was something that I wanted to do the first time I lined the video up and synced his lips with the music, and it was flawless. I was hooked from there. Like we literally went crazy in the room, you know, when I did it, and I learned everything off of YouTube. We was on YouTube, and I just went down a rabbit hole just learning different things. And at that point, I started doing things at the club, you know, and really it was kind of a barter situation where I would get invited to the clubs, and I wasn't even 21 at this time. So I would get invited to the clubs and just do a quick visual for the club. And in the meantime, I would get drops from different artists. At the time, it would be Yo Gotti, it would be 8Ball MJG, it would be DJ Drama, Webby, you know, Boosie. All these people would come through the club, so I'm getting drops, I'm filming for them. At the same time, I'm learning about marketing. You know, I'm learning that this camera is actually doing something, you know, so it kind of made me understand, like, okay, it is a business in this, you know, and coupled with me working on my degree at the time, you know, it was like, okay, this is something that I really like doing. And once I made $50, I was hooked. I made my first $50 and I thought I was rich, you know, because I actually did it doing something that I love, and it did not feel like work at all. So the first thing, once I started working in the clubs and everything, and I'm seeing where this thing could go, I needed a new camera. That camera wasn't doing it anymore. So I wrote out a proposal to my family and told them, you know, this is something that I really want to do. And at the time, it was a Canon 7D that I wanted. I had seen, at the time, it was Cootie and Chike with Creative Control TV. And I saw them and I was like, man, I love this look. They were shooting for Big Crit, they were shooting for Currency, Starley, Big Sean, Wale. So I'm seeing all of this stuff. I was like, man, I want that look. How are they doing this? So I gave Hodges a call. He was at SCAD, and he said, man, you need a DSLR camera. So I saw that DSLR camera. It was $2,700. I was like, oh my God. So I got that camera. When my family got me that camera, I didn't look back. Started doing more music videos, but weddings, I got my first wedding. And when I got that first wedding, it was all she wrote, you know, because I started making real money, you know. So yeah, man, I just took that first camera and kept investing into myself. You know, so just to see where I'm trying to take it now. And, you know, it's not even a try anymore. You know, I'm filming in my own studio. You know, I'm still in Augusta, Georgia, and I travel all around the states, you know, and I fly right out of Augusta, Georgia, you know. So just trying to beat down the notion that you have to move somewhere in order to make it, you know, is a goal of mine. You know, I want to change the trajectory in which everybody feels like you have to leave Augusta in order to be successful. It is one person that could get me to move from Augusta, and that's Tyler Perry. You know, I look at Tyler Perry and what he's done in the South, like just for the South. You know, he did this thing without moving to Hollywood, without moving to New York. He did it from Atlanta, Georgia. You know, so he's a big motivation for me, and he's the only person that could get me to move, to be honest. Just to, you know, to work on his set. So we gonna make that thing. We gonna make that work. The thing that sets me apart from a lot of people is work ethic. Is pure work ethic. I bleed film and photography, literally. I bleed this, you know, I study it. I study the greats, you know, I look at what they did, you know, to get to where they are. I watch a lot of behind the scenes. I take a lot of courses online, and honestly, I go down the rabbit hole of YouTube. My first time jumping out and doing photography and videography full time, it was very scary. You know, it was something that I had worked on for quite a long time. I've always had a full-time job and honed my skills within filmmaking. And to jump out and just do it was the scariest thing that I think I had ever done. But it was time. I was working at Foot Locker and Athlete Foot, knowing that this is what I was going to do. So my big step was I was working at Verizon, and I was making really good money at Verizon. I was one of the top reps, and you know, I love my Verizon family. But when it came down to it, I was so depressed because I knew that I had to go into that job, and the main thing that I wanted to do was go film something. So I took a $35,000 pay cut to go teach. You know, I was teaching for a little while, and you know, that first year was rough. You know, so when I was teaching, you know, I told my principal, like, yeah, I'm gonna resign. I'm not coming back. And Dr. Young told me, she said, well, what you gonna do? So I said, hey, you know, I'm gonna be a filmmaker. I'm move. At this time, I was saying I was gonna move to Atlanta, and I'm gonna pursue this filming. So she was like, you need to meet my husband. You really need to meet my husband. So I said, okay, you know, I'll meet him. And she was saying how he's in the film industry, but he works with the Board of Education too. And, you know, you just need to meet him. So my first time meeting Mr. Al, I met Mr. Al, and he tested me. So when he tested me, I failed the test. And he told me, he was like, oh, you know, I'm not telling you what to do. This is our first time meeting. He said, I'm not telling you what to do, but if you get up under me for at least 2 years, I'll get you ready to where you could go out on your own. At this time, I'm still like, man, I don't want to teach nothing. He was like, well, how about you teach film and photography? At least that will put you around film and photography all day long, and you could get off and still run your business the way that you want to run it. I said, that's cool, I'll do that. So Mr. Al took me up on his wing. He taught me so much within those 2 years that I thought I knew it all at the time. I didn't. This man was an angel. When I tell you he was an angel, and up until this point, I had never talked to anyone about film and photography. You know, other than Hodges. Like, that was a person that I would, you know, talk to, but he's doing his thing. As far as like somebody that is right there and saying, hey, do this, do that, do this. This is what this is. Other than YouTube, I didn't have anybody, man. And that man took me up under his wing and made me a monster. He made me a monster. And last year we lost him. You know, it was very hard. You know, it was very hard to see somebody that believed in you the way that you sometimes you didn't even believe in yourself, you know. So I owe everything to that man, you know, and I try to push every day to know that he's watching. My ultimate goal is to hold up that Oscar. Like, that's the goal right there. Like, I really want to hold an Oscar that's meant for me, whether that's from cinematography, whether that's from directing or writing. I'm shooting for the stars on that. One thing that I would tell a younger me is to keep going. Don't worry about what someone is saying. Don't worry about what the masses would do. If you know that this thing is gonna work for you, it's gonna work for you. To end this thing, man, I just wanna say, if you made it this far, thank you. Like, honestly, thank you. This thing is not easy. It's not easy. And, having people behind you, whether I know you or not, is a blessing. It's a huge blessing. I have a huge support system. It's not just me. Scholar Films is something that me and my friends built. We have a whole Scholar brand, that we built from the ground up. And even though I'm the face of this sector, it's a whole team behind me. It's not just me, so I just want to say thank you to everybody. And if you're in a position where you're thinking that you can't make it to the level that you want to make it to, man, think again. Like, this thing don't come on your time. We're all on God's time, and He's not gonna give you anything that you can't handle. I'm gonna say that again. He's not gonna give you anything that you can't handle. So what you're praying for, it may be something that at the time you can't handle. So understand that it's a blessing in that, and understand what you have right now is only preparing you for what's to come. My name is Travoris Hawkins, and this is my story.